Do you ever feel like something's missing in your relationships, whether that be your platonic relationships, your familial relationships, or your romantic relationships? You can't put your finger on it, but you know that there's just something off. Well, here's the thing. Maybe it has to do with the quality of the connection itself. Connection is an experience between two people that gives their relationship meaning. Your connection to your mother is different than your connection to your father. Your relationship with your mother is different than your relationship to your father. Both of those relationships are similar because they're your parents, but they're not the same as your connection to your siblings. And those separate connections are not the same as your connection to your best friends. So each connection is special in its own way, and each connection adds value and meaning to our lives. As we go about our day-to-day lives, we have many opportunities to connect with people, whether that be our family members, our friends, or our romantic relationships. Every connection needs these 7 C's to thrive: communication, consistency, compromise, conflict resolution, compassion, consideration, and conduct. If you watched my last video on how to cure loneliness, you know that I spoke about this briefly in that video. If you haven't seen that video, I'd recommend you check out that link. So let's start with the first C, communication. This seems like a pretty obvious one. However, most of us struggle with this. So let me just explain the obvious. Communication is all about clearly, concisely, and truthfully conveying your thoughts, feelings, emotions, and actions in a way that another party can comprehend and not misinterpret or misunderstand. So to spell that out even further, communication is about expression, expressing yourself, and also listening and letting another person express themselves. Any connection needs communication to thrive because communication is the base of any relationship. Whether that be a business deal, whether that be you're matching with someone on a dating app, whether that mean that you're making new friends at a party, how you communicate, what you talk about, how you make the other person feel seen and heard, and like you're understanding what they're saying, and like you're paying attention to what they're saying, and that you are respecting the value they bring to the conversation. That is how any relationship is established and forms a strong base. The second C to connection is consistency. By consistency, I mean that two parties in a relationship are consistently putting in effort and reciprocating effort, consistently following through on what they say they're going to do, that they are consistently showing up the same way, and that their pattern of behavior is consistent. Any connection needs consistency because let's think about it. Without being able to have consistency, you would not be able to know or predict what any given person's behavior would be, right? So when you meet someone and you're best friends with them and all of a sudden they start acting inconsistent and different, that's usually a red flag that something's going on in their lives or something's off in your relationship. So consistency is used as a way to measure how authentic someone's being with you and how genuine they're showing up for you in your lives and in your relationship. Compromise. Every connection needs compromise because, let's face it, we are all very different individuals. We all have very different tastes, preferences, and ways of thinking, expressing ourselves, and choices that we want to make. And, sometimes you want to eat Taco Bell and your friend wants to eat McDonald's, and somewhere along the line, you guys have to compromise, or maybe get McDonald's today, tomorrow you get Taco Bell. I don't know. You figure it out. But that's the point, is that in those instances where any disagreement arises, where two clashing belief systems or two different ways of looking at something comes up, the two of you are able to put the relationship first ahead of wanting your way or wanting you to be right? Compromise involves being humble. It involves being flexible. It involves being patient. It involves understanding that this other individual is another human being and not some part of you that you can control or manipulate. It's understanding that you can't always get things the way you want to get things. It's about understanding that you can't always get things your way, right? It's about being mature. It's about putting aside the differences for the sake of maintaining a strong connection. That leads us to our next C, conflict resolution. Conflict resolution is how you resolve conflicts. Duh. Conflict resolution in any connection is how two parties are able to take accountability for their actions and are able to hold each other accountable for each other's actions. It's about being able to sit down and have a mature conversation like adults. It's about being able to figure out your problems and differences and resolve them in a way that's respectful to one another. It's about talking to one another when you have these conversations in a way that respects each other's individuality, intelligence, and agency. It's about being able to understand that you don't always have to see eye to eye, that you won't always see eye to eye, but you are willing to make effort and put in the work to resolve things, to move forward and move on from conflict because you value the relationship and the other person more than the conflict. Conflict resolution is also about being able to maturely assert your boundaries without being aggressive, passive aggressive, or passive. It's about being able to talk to someone without calling them names, without disrespecting them, insulting them or their family, or, slandering their reputation. Conflict resolution is about being able to be diplomatic and mature and do what you think is best for yourself and the relationship. And this is where it gets kind of tricky, because sometimes you cannot resolve a conflict, and that becomes a sign that the connection is broken or maybe is irreparable. Conflict resolution is paramount for any connection, because without good conflict resolution, your relationship will not survive. The next C is compassion. Compassion means to be able to put yourself in someone else's shoes and feel the feelings that they feel during an experience. For example, your friend failed their exam and you passed the exam, so you want to go party. And you want to drag your friend with you to party, but they're not in the celebratory mood. Compassion is about being able to put yourself in your friend's shoes in this scenario and kind of try to feel how they're feeling. And instead of self-centering and prioritizing your celebration, you prioritize being there for your friend and helping them feel better. And oftentimes when you do that, you actually end up feeling better than choosing to do the thing that you want to do. Compassion is also about valuing another person's humanity. It's about being able to give grace to someone when someone does mess up and they apologize and take accountability for their actions. Compassion is understanding that not everything everyone does is directly intentional towards you. Compassion is about being able to understand that, this person can't make my party, they must hate me. Compassion is understanding that, they're busy, that they have their own lives, right? Or respecting their no. Compassion involves a sense of objectivity on any given scenario, and it involves a sense of being able to understand another person's experience and that their experience has nothing to do with your experience. So here's an example. One time I was throwing a birthday party and one of my friends told me that they were sick and they couldn't make it anymore. I got pretty bummed out, and instead of focusing the whole party on that one friend that could not make it and thinking to myself that, oh, they hate me, or, oh, like, they're mad at me or whatever, I chose to, give them the benefit of the doubt and, be compassionate towards them that they're probably sick, they're probably going through a rough time, and that's okay. Life happens, and that's okay. I'm not mad at them. I don't need to forgive them. This is not something they need to apologize for. The world is not ending because they couldn't make my birthday party, So it's just like, it's about having that awareness of your emotions and other people's experiences and being able to stay grounded. Compassion is so important for relationships and connections because it's about being able to be empathetic to another person's feelings and being able to respect and honor their feelings. It's about being able to put aside your feelings sometimes in order to prioritize someone else's feelings and take care of them. This is important in connections because two parties need to be able to do this for each other to show that they are willing to make sacrifices for each other, that they are willing to show up for each other, they're willing to set aside their needs and their desires to prioritize another person's needs in that moment. The sixth C is consideration. Consideration is about respecting another person's time and energy. We all have a limited amount of time and energy in any given day. Consideration is when you're able to understand that any time you are spending time with someone or engaging with someone, you are essentially stealing time from them, time that they could be doing anything else. So when you message someone and ask, hey, can you hang out? You're basically saying, hey, can you give me a whole day of your life to me? So consideration is considering that whenever anyone chooses to spend time with you, they're essentially giving up their time for you, and you're doing the same thing for them. So consideration is about respecting each other's precious time whenever you plan anything, how you communicate, how you talk. It's about being considerate of the other person's experience to the degree that you want to give them the best experience possible, that you want to make the most of the time you two have together. Consideration is very important for connection because it puts everything into perspective in terms of how important you two are to one another. When you are considerate and you can show that you are considerate to someone and they can show that they're considerate to you, you prove that you understand that you both could be gone any day. You demonstrate that you understand that life is short and that the time you have together is short and that you really appreciate that this person is choosing to spend their time with you. The final C is conduct. Conduct is how you carry yourself, not just when you're with a person, but when you're not with this person. This becomes especially tricky because conduct is about integrity. When you are not with this person and you're with another group of people and they are talking about this person, are you also engaging in a way that is negatively speaking about this person's character and tarnishing their reputation? Or are you, as their loyal friend, relationship partner, family member, choosing not to engage or choosing to defend their honor and have their back? And vice versa, is this other person also defending you and speaking highly of you in rooms where you are not present? Conduct is about how you carry the relationship when the relationship is not present with you. Conduct is very important for relationships because it reflects how deeply loyal you are to one another. I don't have anything else to say on that. It's as simple as that. Conduct is about loyalty. It is about trusting one another. The important thing is trust and being able to demonstrate the fidelity to one another outside of interactions with that person. So those were the 7 C's of connections. If you have any other C's that you think I should add to the list, definitely let me know in the comments below. And please be sure to check out my previous video on how to cure loneliness. Thank you.